Everyone loves a happy ending, but all's well that ends well doesn't always apply. Video games are no exception. For all the world-saving done or retribution earned, some endings can feel bittersweet when weighed against the consequences. So let's take a look at 15 such endings here. DRAKENGARD. The endings for DRAKENGARD range from tragic to straight-up WTF. In one ending, you can choose to seal the Watchers, the main antagonistic force, away in another dimension. But this requires protagonist Kaim and the dragon Angelus to give up their own lives. It also doesn't help that Kaim's sister Furii, who he's trying to rescue, is also killed. Even in the default ending, the world is saved from the Watchers, but Angelus sacrifices herself to become the new seal. Plus, Furii still dies. Grand Theft Auto 4. There are no happy endings for Nico. Either his girlfriend Kate dies or his cousin Roman dies. It all boils down to how you deal with Dimitri, the main villain. If Nico kills Dimitri, Kate dies at Roman's wedding and Nico hunts down the killer. However, if Nico cuts a deal with Dimitri, Kate will chew him out and then leaves town. Of course, Dimitri goes back on his deal, leading to Roman accidentally getting killed, and eventually Nico hunts down Dimitri. So it's either Kate or Roman in the end. NIER AUTOMATA. The last couple of endings in NIER AUTOMATA are downers, whether it's A2 or 9S dying after their final battle. Ending E is about salvaging data to bring them back, along with 2B, and the player subsequently wages war against the credits themselves as other players join in to help. You have the option to delete your data and help another player to achieve that wish, but there's no guarantee that things will be better for the three or that their suffering will ever end. Still, they're alive, and there's hope, so that's a start. Night in the Woods. As cutesy as the characters can seem in Night in the Woods, they've got some serious issues. So when the gang takes down a cult, one that's been kidnapping people to appease some ancient entity called the Black Goat, it seems things end on a high note, which they sort of do since Bee and May are friends again. Unfortunately, the Black Goat is still out there, and there's no telling what it will do next. Plus, our heroes still have their own baggage to deal with, whether it's Bee's dead-end job, May's mental health issues, and so on. Bloodborne. Bloodborne is a game with deep lore, so it might be hard to process what's going on in the different endings without reading into it. If you choose to sever the connection with the Hunter's dream, you'll wake up in Yharnam as the sun rises. It's all cheery and optimistic, and the city seems to be safe. Unfortunately, Gehrman is still trapped. The Great Ones are still out there, and the cycle will likely repeat. Don't even get us started on how the old Hunters DLC factors into all of this. Deadly Premonition. Through a shocking series of twists and turns, we learn that York is actually Zack, or rather Zack is the original personality of the protagonist. Kaysen is revealed to be the mastermind behind all of the murders and was also responsible for killing Zack's mother when he was a child, with Zack's father committing suicide shortly after. It also doesn't help that Emily, who York loves, becomes Kaysen's next victim and also dies. However, Zack does kill Kaysen, finally ending his threat and allowing all of the victims peace in the afterlife. Darkest Dungeon. So you've successfully saved the Hamlet. Congratulations! Unfortunately, the Heart of Darkness's return has only been delayed, and the entire world is still at danger. The player and his descendants will also perish, just like their ancestors, as the cycle continues on and on into perpetuity. But there is peace, if only temporarily. Darkest Dungeon 2 is a thing after all. Halo 3. After a long-fought war, the Flood and their leader, Gravemind, have been purged. The Arbiter and his race leave for Sanghelios, and humanity is saved. Unfortunately, several key characters like Sergeant Johnson and Captain Keyes are dead. Master Chief and Cortana are also left adrift on the remains of the Forward Unto Dawn without any hope of rescue. Until the sequel, but things only get worse from there. Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Assuming you don't let Alexander succeed or listen to Agrippa, you can prevent the former from returning to his dimension. The Shadow will ultimately kill Alexander, and Daniel will be free from the castle. However, there's no denying that Daniel tortured and killed people for rituals that could apparently stave off the Shadow, and ultimately benefiting Alexander. He only decided to stop following Alexander after killing a young girl who attempted to flee. Batman: Arkham City. While one could look at this ending as a positive with Protocol 10 being stopped and the Joker thwarted, the latter's death is a huge blow to Batman. That's because the Dark Knight values human life above everything else and will go to extraordinary lengths to not kill his foes. Even if the Joker is the one who destroyed the antidote, Batman's inability to save him still weighs heavy. Of course, that's not even taking into account the death of Talia, the deaths of several prisoners, and so on. The Darkness. The game starts with Jackie being the target of an assassination by his uncle Paulie. He only survives thanks to the darkness, which is consuming his soul. After shutting down Paulie's operations, he retaliates by killing Jackie's childhood sweetheart Jenny. Eventually, Jackie takes down Paulie, exploiting the full power of the darkness at the cost of losing his soul. In the end, he's at least allowed a few moments with Jenny, seemingly in the afterlife, though his suffering is far from over as the sequel showcases. Gears of War 3. The Locust have been defeated. Queen Mira is dead, and the emulsion sickness that caused the Lambent to overrun the planet has finally been overturned. However, Marcus's father is dead, Dom, his best friend, is dead after sacrificing himself to save the squad. And even if Anya and friends are there for Marcus, subsequent games would reveal that the Locust weren't actually gone after all. Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly. Twins Mio and Mayu have a fairly grim task. The former has to strangle the latter in order to quell the hellish abyss, while also dealing with the vengeful spirit Sei, who still lingers after a failed ritual long ago. Depending on certain conditions, Mio can rescue Mayu from Sei, but will become blinded upon gazing into the abyss. If the ritual is complete, then the villagers trapped from the failed ritual are freed and the abyss is calmed. Mio is still left with the guilt of having killed Mayu to achieve this. So there's really no winning, unless you play the director's cut, which contains an ending where Mio and Mayu both live. Final Fantasy XV. You have to feel bad for Noctis. After losing Lunafreya, he learns that Arden is of his bloodline and responsible for the Star Scourge's rapid onset. Noctis eventually realizes that he's the one who will bring peace to Eos and defeat the Star Scourge, sacrificing his life in the process. However, he stays inside the crystal to absorb its power, a process which takes 10 years and results in demons ravaging Eos. When he returns and reunites with his friends, Noctis finally defeats Arden, sacrificing himself to save the world, and is reunited with Luna in the afterlife. The Last of Us. When Joel is confronted with the fact that Ellie's surgery will kill her, he embarks on a murderous spree through the hospital, killing doctors and Fireflies alike, including their leader Marlene. Ellie is asleep during the whole ordeal, and upon waking up afterwards is told by Joel that the Fireflies had stopped trying to find a cure. So on top of lying to her, Joel might have also doomed the entire human race. Oh well, at least Ellie grows up a kind soul, right? And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.